What's going on, guys? So in this video I'm just going to be, it was a Diamond Dynasty game, and I realized right at the start of the game that my opponent had the USA uniforms and I had the Team Canada uniforms on. And I started thinking about how probably most of my viewers are all American, and they probably don't know that much about Canada. So I thought I'd take this video as a chance to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about some of the differences, talk to you a little bit about Canada, because if you don't know much, it would be pretty cool to learn. So I'm not going to talk too much about the gameplay. It is a pretty good game to watch. I wasn't hitting great. This is my first game with George Brett, the legend, so that was pretty exciting, but other than that, it wasn't a great game. But the only real reason that I'm uploading it is just because the Canada versus USA thing. So to start off, there are some differences. We do say A lot. If you're in a regular conversation with a Canadian, it'll come up, and we try not to do it because we know other countries know that we do it. So if someone says A, usually my friends will call each other out and be like, A, right? Like, oh. And then the other person will notice. So A is not as big of a deal. You don't hear it as much as Americans think it happens. Like, they think we say A in every second sentence, but it's really not that true. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you guys can tell I'm Canadian by my voice. If you can, that would actually be pretty cool. But as of sports are very different in Canada and the USA. For me, I am a huge baseball and football fan, and baseball and football are big in Canada. I'm not gonna lie, they are quite popular, but I'm sure you guys all know what the most popular sport in Canada is, and that is hockey. All Canadians, if you talk to most Canadian guys, when they're older, they will all say that they played hockey when they were younger. I played hockey for like 8 or 9 years. Almost all Canadians play hockey, and it's what we do because it's like the norm of the culture. You are Canadian, you're gonna play hockey. And honestly, a lot of kids, by the end of it, where I'm from, don't end up playing. By the time they get older, they switch to other sports. But when they're younger, their parents always put them in hockey. Like, I quit when I was 13, and I switched to play all the school sports because I like them way more. And it tends to be that the hockey players, they're the more cocky ones, their parents all think they're going to the NHL, which is pretty annoying because they don't really give any respect for other sports, and they kind of persuade their kids to not do anything else. So that's kind of the sports thing here. We do have really good football teams here. Some of our high school football teams I know could compete against some of the good American ones. We don't get as many chances in the US just because we play a totally different game. Football is totally different in Canada. We only have 3 downs. Our field is a lot wider, and our field is longer as well. So me being a quarterback, it's a lot different, Canada and the USA. Baseball we're also quite good at baseball, and you'll see a lot of Canadians in the not a lot. I know the Blue Jays started 3 today, but the reason you don't see as many is because we only get to play baseball for 3 months a year. I played baseball for a long time. That was my main sport, probably. Even when I was playing hockey, I was also playing baseball. But we could only play 3 months a year. There's some indoor, we're getting more guys in there now because we have academies and stuff that you can play year round, and those guys are getting when I was playing, I played against some MLB draft picks and stuff. And those guys were all from the academies where they could play year-round and they didn't play other sports. Me, I played 3 different sports at the time, so I really couldn't do that. But baseball is quite competitive here. You'll see guys like Russell Martin, Justin Morneau, Joey Votto, a lot of really good Canadian ball players. So that's kind of the sports thing here in Canada. We do have all sports pretty much, but there's hockey, the hockey playoffs are going on right now, and I work at a jersey store, and I'm just selling crazy amounts of hockey jerseys. The Calgary Flames, I don't know, you guys have probably heard of them. I'm from Alberta, so I'm kind of right in the middle of Calgary and Edmonton, so we've sold a ton of Calgary stuff this week. I sold 6 jerseys today, so it's been pretty crazy. Another thing different about Canada is our governments are quite a bit different. I find, we have a lot more social programs in Canada. There's a lot more stuff paid for by the government. I'm sure you guys know we have free healthcare. If you're a Canadian citizen and you're hurt, you go into a hospital, you show them your card, your Alberta or Canada healthcare card, and you don't even need a wallet. You'll pretty much get any treatment you need for free, and that is totally awesome. There's also, I don't know about the retirement programs. I think they might be better. I don't know too much, but I know our government is a lot different in the way we're elected. Things are just a lot different. We kind of have a great distribution of powers here. It's not as much like the USA. I know that you have a president, and there's some people who can oppose the president, but we have a prime minister. They're not called presidents here, but there's cabinets, and usually our government is almost 50-50 between the party in power and the opposition. That way, even if the party in power wants something, the opposition will make sure and weed it out, so we don't get any crazy laws here, and things stay relatively balanced. So that's the Canadian system. Also, this is kind of just some weird things that I've noticed because I've been to America a few times. We always take our shoes off when we go to people's houses. If you go to like a Canadian house, you don't wear shoes in the house. Like, it's considered very disrespectful. You always, like, I've heard from a lot of Americans, they always wear shoes. Like, if you have like a house party or something, you take your shoes off at the door. You don't wear your shoes in the house. And that's just kind of a Canadian thing. I don't know if it's just because there's always snow outside. Well, there isn't as much snow as the Americans think, but that's a whole different thing. Our weather isn't as bad as you'd expect. Unlike the coast, like BC and stuff, it's actually quite warm all the time. BC is a very nice place. We do have cold winters, though, very cold winters. But I would say they're on par with, like, I don't know, like New York. I mean, not New York. They're pretty bad. So yeah, there's a lot of different things about Canada. We can get into Cuba. Canadians can travel in and out of Cuba. That's another cool thing. And I find that we learn in our education system, we learn a ton about the USA. And I've heard, I don't know this because I didn't go to the US schools, but what I've heard is that you guys learn a lot about America and you don't learn about other things. Because there's a lot of like people, a lot of the talk shows, they'll go down to the US and they'll ask Americans about Canadians and they'll be like, who's our prime minister or president, and they'll have no idea. But if you asked any Canadian pretty much who the American president is, anything about America, we'd know because we learned that all through our thing. We learn about all different countries. And I'm like this, I'm not sure because I did not go to a US school, but I'm just saying this from what I've heard, that we tend to learn more about other countries than the US, which I think is a pretty cool thing. So yeah, that's kind of we also have two different languages. Everything in Canada, if you were here, is in English and French. So if you bought like a Coke can, it would be Coke, and I don't know what Coke is in French, but underneath it would be what it is in French. That's another difference, because we are officially bilingual. You'll see it it's mostly on the eastern provinces where French is a lot more prominent. Here on the west, there's not that many French-speaking people. But yeah, that's a lot of differences. Let me guys know in the comments what you guys think about Canadians. I'm kind of interested to hear about like what people think actually happens in Canada, because I'm sure it's a lot different than what actually does. And I end up winning this game 4-1. I'm in an online franchise, which I'm going to be uploading tomorrow probably. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next video.